You're listening to the Miracles in Meat podcast. I'm Shane Thibodaux, a fourth-generation butcher at one of the oldest meat markets in the world. My great-grandfather started this business by slaughtering one cow or pig at a time and selling the cuts door-to-door on horse and buggy. Today, our products are enjoyed across the globe. I will attempt to give you some insight as to how we got here and explore the challenges we've had along the way. At Bourgeois, our mission is to preserve our heritage generation after generation through legendary Cajun flavors and the development of relationships, not customers. Since 1891, Bourgeois has maintained age-old culinary traditions that fuel the South Louisiana lifestyle. Over the past 133 years, our Cajun products have gained global recognition, and for tens of thousands of folks around the world, the Bourgeois Cajun Lady logo is a symbol of home. Today, the fourth-generation butchers sit at the 9-foot maple block with loyal customers to discuss the adventures, skills, and passions that guide each of their legacies. These conversations will become priceless resources for future generations of any industry. This is our way of maintaining the spirit, purpose, and traditions of our lost arts in a world of change. 133 years, 4 generations. We're just getting started. All right, everyone, this is episode 14 of the Miracles of Meat podcast. I'm Shane. Today, Beau and I sit down with the owner of Cinclare Bar and Table, one of my favorite little places here in downtown Thibodaux. Excellent restaurant, high quality, chef forward, as they say. And Beau and I get into some conversation with Michael about the business and customer service and his background, how he got here. He's a Baton Rouge boy, and this was a fun conversation. We got to learn a lot about Michael and hope this relationship grows going forward. So if you got any questions or comments about the episode, you can submit them on a form on our website. Just click on the podcast. Dig around in there. There's all kind of goodies on that website. And yeah, if you have a question you like read on the podcast, you can even drop us an audio file on there if you're feeling frisky. Thanks for the support, guys. And here we go. Michael Dalmau. Michael.
Yeah.
How about you tell us a little bit about yourself? I know a little bit about the restaurant, but let's start with some personal stuff, where you grew up and your story.
Sure. Grew up, born and raised in Baton Rouge, and went to LSU. And then when I graduated from LSU, I lived in California for about 3 years, and then moved back, met my now wife. We moved to New Orleans for about 12 years, and we lived there for about another dozen years, and then moved here in 2010 and just loving it. So, I mean, we're at the restaurant. We're celebrating 9 years this month.
Nice.
So exciting.
Yeah.
You know,
I feel like I remember all 9 years.
You know, it's funny, but it's kind of flown by, and, you know, it's not an easy thing to do, like I got to tell y'all, but it's been a wonderful ride. It's just, it's incredible. We're at 9 years so far. So yeah. But no, I when I left LSU, I went and worked at a resort in Lake Tahoe, and worked in kitchens in front of the house there. You know, when I left LSU, I had worked in several restaurants and bars in Baton Rouge, and then got my degree and realized, oh God, I'd love to go to culinary school. But I mean, we're talking mid-90s, and, you know, culinary schools weren't accessible. So I thought, well, if I'm going to go learn how to work in kitchens and resorts, I'm going to go somewhere nice. So I moved to Lake Tahoe on the California side. I worked at what's now called Tahoe Palisades, the massive ski area. And I worked at a resort called Resort at Squaw Creek. And it's a huge resort that had several different outlets. And I worked at a bunch of places. I was on the line at an Italian place with a wood burning oven, and ran the room service kitchen for 6 months, and worked at banquets and stuff like that. So it gave me the opportunity to learn kind of on the fly while I'm getting paid. considerable student loan to boot with LSU. So I had to kind of figure my way out. But then when I left town, my brother was having a baby, and it was tough to be in California when you got your little niece and godchild on the way. So after about 3 years of living there, I moved back, and by that time I was ready to make a little money. And down here at the time, they weren't paying too much to toil in the kitchens and stuff, so I kind of left that behind and went and worked in medical sales, started in pharmaceutical, and moved my way to surgical, and got kind of tired of the travel and all that. I had a big territory and all that, so once I moved here, we were looking for other things for me to do, and so I was fortunate when the building came up for Cinclare downtown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you say the building came up. Well, you already had plans?
Well, funny you should ask. Yeah, we were, when we moved here, I hate the term foodie, but we love to eat, and, we cook at home a lot, but, that was one thing. We love the area, but we felt like we're missing some of the cuisines and some of the things. And so, if you want to motivate change, or you want to see something different, a lot of times you got to do it yourself. And so we were looking at a couple different properties and different concepts. To me, I think Cinclare, that concept was kind of for that building, for that area, that location. We looked at another place right before it kind of fell through because of zoning. And in Thibodaux, they don't really change zoning, that readily. So I guess it was a stroke of good luck, because that fell through. And so we were looking, and then a friend of ours who owned the building was looking to sell. It had been in a number of college bars and
establishments.
Yeah, I'll say that. But some more storied than others, and and so I think the person who owned the bar kind of was looking to get out, and I think the person who owned the building, she wanted to get rid of some property, so we were happy to do it. There was a lot of work to be done. We had to put in a kitchen where there wasn't one, but it's where we started. Yeah.
And how long was Cinclare in your thoughts?
Well, I think as far as the name goes, it was something that I was a little resistant to, and I'll share the story on why I called it Cinclare. And my wife was the one that thought it'd be perfect, and kind of had to talk me into it. But
I can already tell you made the perfect decision just based on that.
Absolutely, I'm a smart man. Well, I'm not smart, but I'm no dummy. So, but the concept was kind of, to me, I think I wanted to do something different. There's some really good restaurants in Thibodaux, and, I didn't want to be another Cajun place and all that. I thought, this culinary school here, to me, was a great resource. There's a lot of just living here for a few years and doing some informal market research, talking to other parents of kids in my school and stuff, and going out, talking to people I'm meeting. These people were going to New Orleans a couple times a month to get an upper, to chef-driven food. And they were kind of lamenting about how, God, wish we love what we have here, but we want something just a little bit different. And to me, it kind of made sense. And, so we just thought, I couldn't do this in New Orleans, obviously. Baton Rouge presents challenges too. To me, this was kind of a layup. I've always wanted to open a place. I've always had the idea of should be done this way. We all go out to dinner and be like, it should be, But I truly thought, and I don't know, if it was just misguided confidence, but I thought, well, what, I think I know what people want, and So I came up with a concept menu, and didn't even have a name on it. There were things that I thought, and this is not an original thing. There were, I love this dish from this place, and I love this dish, and how about if we do this?
Yeah,
this,
sure.
And this? So that's kind of where it was born out of, just throwing thoughts onto piece of paper. And then, yeah, it was kind of like that, but I had to get buy-in, so one of the first trips I made was to the culinary school. I thought, well, let's go to the horse's mouth. And at the time, I sat with the head of the department, John Kozar, may he rest in peace, great chef, great man, just passed away last year, and intimidating guy. He graduated from Mellon University in mathematics, and he's a pastry chef. And I've always been around chefs who are very intimidating and, aggressive and all that. So I was nervous, but I showed him my menu, and he looks it over, and he says, with his pencil eraser side down towards the page, he slid it back. He goes, "This doesn't have any desserts on it." It was all, appetizers and entrees. And I'm presenting this thinking I'm going to blow his world. That, I'm talking to a pastry chef and I don't have any desserts. So I'm just melting in my chair. I'm like, great, first meeting. Well, he asked to keep that menu. And I didn't mind, sure, like maybe he can give me some feedback. Maybe we can talk about any kind of help but they don't really like, they don't like to lend support to local restaurants. I don't think they want to look as though that they're being favorites or anything like that. And he kind of made that plain. But, they've always been a great resource for us. But, they've always just been like, we'll help in certain ways. But so apparently what had happened was that menu, they got copied and it got circulated around faculty. And then, the good culinary students hang out with faculty. They're in their office talking food, and it helps out their cause. So what ends up happening is somebody finds this. Whoa, what is this? Well, somebody came in here.
It's got no desserts on it.
Who would eat here?
Well, that was on the back. It was on the back. And so we got a bunch of people reaching out to us. Jeffrey was one of them. Jeffrey, found.
So from the menu,
huh?
That's wild. I always wondered how they got hooked up with Logan and with Jeffrey.
Well, yeah, absolutely. There was two really, really talented, Logan's one of them, two really talented culinary students. Logan Boudreau, our chef right now, who's been our chef for 7 years now, but he's been with us since we opened. And another really talented chef, Crystal Latchney, and they both saw it, and they reached out almost.
They said, where can I do this?
Yeah. And
that's awesome.
And,
that's very, very cool.
It made a lot of sense for them. So yeah, we kind of took off from there, and it really, I don't want to say I fell in it, but all the mistakes or good things kind of accidental, so it just very good luck.
So you started go ahead.
My grandpa Earl always said, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I've been using that one a lot lately.
No doubt about it.
So you started with a menu. That was one of my questions, is how do you start? Do you start with a genre, or do you start with dishes, or do you start with atmosphere, or how does that work?
Right.
Did you have the building before the menu, or vice versa?
No, I had the building first. Okay. We were under contract, and at that point, it was pretty much 99% in the bag when I started that, and it was.
So you had a building, you just didn't know what you were going to sell.
No, yeah, it was a great position to be in. Like we could at any point we could have been like, okay, hell, it's Michael's Campus Bar,
right?
Point, just completely abandon the restaurant, but we. My wife, I guess, had enough confidence in me that she said, okay, we'll just do what you want to do. And yeah, I didn't go for genre just because if you pigeonhole yourself, because I think there was a rumor out, since I'm Cuban and my parents are from Cuba, that it was going to be a Cuban restaurant. So there was this buzz. Thibodaux's kids, right. The Cuban restaurant. So when people would come by the construction site, they were like, "Is this going to be a Cuban restaurant?" I said, "No," and you'd see all the disappointment in people's faces. And
where is it going to be?
Right. And I'm like, "Well, no, but just check in." And then they'd be like, "Well, what kind of restaurant is it?" And I'd be like, "Oh God, I don't even know how to explain this." Now there's a word for it. It's called chef driven, or chef forward, kitchen forward, creative. So you tell some people, we're going to be creative. We're going to be rotating menus, small menus. You just see them glass over.
Yeah, Joe Blow and Thibodaux, they ain't.
It could have been that way in Baton Rouge, New Orleans. Like, just speak plainly, please. But I had no idea because it was, whether it be on purpose or accidental, I thought, let's just do creative. Let's do fresh. Let's do fun. To me, the idea was dinner and drinks, for a place downtown with a nice bar. And that kind of born dinner and drinks. We're not going to do lunch, just, even though we get a massive demand for it. I don't know. The place is suited for dinner and drinks. That's what kind of jumped out to me. So I'm sure other restaurateurs would tell you, oh no, I wanted to do this, and then this kind of started to fall in place because of the building concept. Kind of followed the building and everything. Because this other building, we were talking about doing a breakfast brunch place. Nothing.
Was it downtown?
It was on 7th. It's now a hair salon. I think at one point it was a butcher shop back in the 50s and 60s.
Right by your house. I know what you're talking about.
And so it was a dentist's office. And I thought great location because we're by the schools and everything. But at the time it was zoned commercial, office. And I got quite the education. We got real close to securing the loan for that too. So they're like, and luckily our loan officer said, you realize it's not zoned for that. And so, but yeah, at the time it had been out of commerce for so long that it got rezoned from commercial to residential. And I'm thinking, I almost bought a dentist office that I'd have to convert into some sort of a house or apartment. So yeah, the idea with that was this little breakfast, hey, we have tables here, but then, come pick up something to go to before you go to school or something. It was, but that's kind of how I was operating.
Being close to Baton Rouge, did you make your way to Thibodaux around that college time?
I did actually. I dated a girl from Thibodaux.
Oh boy.
Yeah. She's a wonderful girl. But I never thought I'd move here. Her family was in Corona, so I came to, we dated for maybe a year, but she was very close with her parents. So her family, we came, visited a couple times, and we went to Kronos one year. And then actually, shouldn't even mention my aunt and uncle lived here. Actually, my cousin was born here. They live in Miami now. I told you I was Cuban. So, but he taught physics. My uncle did at Nichols, and then they moved to Miami 30 years ago. But they lived here, so we would see them. We'd come to their house. He'd take me. He was a big outdoorsman, so we go to Grand Isle a lot, cool. Go fishing, and But so yeah, I always loved this area. I would come here when I was in sales, and I had a couple surgeons that I worked with, a couple doctors that I worked with. So I always loved this town, really did.
What was your first time coming to the market?
God, it's another great question. So my dad is in industrial sales, and in college, summer job I'd work in his warehouse, and he had a guy, one of his field salespeople. You guys know field salespeople, they come here a lot. He said, and at the time I was dating the girl from Thibodaux, and he said, oh, God, you date a girl from Thibodaux? You gotta get me the jerky from Bourgeois. And I had no idea, I just thought, when we would come in town, we'd be around her family, or we'd go to a party or a wedding or something. But then one time I made it. So it was, 93 or 94, maybe 92. But yeah, instant. I thought, wow, this is, and yeah, another reason I love living here is because of y'all. That you guys are artisan, you're craftsmen, you guys do a trade that not a lot of people do, and perfected something and to me, it's best damn turkey in the world. So,
what else do you like other than the jerky? Any kind of
tasso? To me, it's because I've always tried to cook with the jerky, whether you reconstitute it or, rehydrate or whatever. But I find, to me, and I'm assuming y'all use the same smoke, that I get that same, so I can actually flavor dishes with the tasso. So the tasso, I come in and I always get a dozen burgers and then sausage. Between garlic and jalapeno, it's always a toss-up, so I end up getting 2 pounds of each. But no, you guys do an amazing job. I always love it here.
And then, all right, so you're in college and you're dating a chick from Thibodaux, and you've done the downtown thing in college. You've been to the Goose and you made your rounds.
I did. We went to the Goose, but we started at Flanagan's.
At the bar or dinner?
For Kronos, we started Flanagan's, and we did, because I remember she was telling me they're famous for their Long Island iced teas.
Oh, boy.
And that's what got me in trouble. We got deep in the Long Island iced teas that night at Kronos before
they went to the island.
Yeah. We got stuck in Long Island. And so I know we went to the Goose. Don't know if we went to Rox's or not, but I do remember going, we're walking into a shoe store. Yeah. But no, those nights were a little bit foggy.
It's funny how many times that sentence has been said over the years. Yeah, I know we went to the Goose, and then I don't know where else we went. I think we went to Rox's. I don't know.
Yeah. No, we gotta get that. I keep hearing about the heyday, and I know that when we would come here in the early 90s. I'm guessing the Iron Horse was still open. You guys are younger than me, but
Never heard of Iron Horse.
I've heard
maybe the original Foundry. I know Dad always
the original
talked about
Foundry,
that.
but so the Iron Horse is, as I'm told, is if you go down St. Philip from some Cinclare, and there's the hippie hotel. That there's a foundation that kind of smashed.
Oh, yeah.
That's where the Iron Horse used to be. And that was, the dance club of the day. And then I think Last Call was something else, called something else.
What was that called?
The library. Oh, before Last Call.
Yeah. It was.
Oh, I think I only remember it as Last Call.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I predate you guys by a few years.
Was the library there?
It wouldn't have been the library.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think at that time it was like a little coffee shop. They did like little paninis and stuff. So, kind of like what the Willow does, but I think it was there. It was a little ahead of its time, and it was only open for about a year or two. And there was just desserts. But amazing. That building is, at least the front building, is in excess of 130 years old.
It's got some age
that's
on it.
Main Street.
It's a cool part of Thibodaux.
Yeah, to me, I think it's, I say we're right at the center of the entertainment district of Thibodaux.
We'll start using that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where y'all going tonight? I'm going to the entertainment district.
Well, you'd be surprised once everybody finally gets things going, the worst was right after Ida. God, when Freeman's is down, and, they didn't open Renee's back up, and, it was pretty much us, and Spars. It was just us and Spars, and, business was good, but it was just kind of sad. There wasn't any kind of vibrancy or life downtown. So we, it's nice to see things coming back and people investing and trying to, shape a really beautiful area and great neighborhood.
Cool area.
Totally.
Downtown has a ton of potential. I'm excited to see what they've been doing with they got rid of the weir, and they are putting in, the docks and all. And it could be really awesome.
I agree. I think, they're trying, and people butt heads, and we want this and we want that, but people are trying, and the city is doing a great job, but what's most impressive is the personal investment, people
that's
sticking their neck out.
Unfortunately,
but that's what it takes. I think there's still a good ways to go.
Speaking of which, what you know about some lights? I hear there's some lights coming downtown. Is that true?
You mean
kind of like they have in Homa?
I've heard that. We should be better as a downtown group. Now, we've got Main Street, but that's more But we should meet regularly, and I think individually people meet with the administration or they meet with other people. But I kind of hear some things late. I hear some things before they're made real. But I have heard that. I think it's a great idea. I don't know if y'all been downtown Houma and all that.
It looks awesome.
They're doing a great job there with and they just finally getting some businesses back. They just got
Houma guys. Yeah, Houma.
But I mean, for a while that was tough haul for downtown Houma. But I think that's, I've heard it. Whether it's done deal, I don't know. But I thought you missed those blinking blue lights, crime cameras.
I've seen those too.
That's crazy. Bright. They are, and so many people complain to me, and I have nothing to do about that. And we have our own cameras up, but I think at some point they just maybe need to blink a little less, or maybe be a little less bright. If there's a switch in there, a dimmer or something, I don't know.
A dimmer switch,
right?
So, I think those string lights would be great for tourism, because I know I can see clearly in my mind any place I went out of town, out of state that had a little downtown strip. If they got the lights, I remember it and I want to go back.
Or you're at least gonna stop and see what
it just
it's
feels
about.
special.
Why they got lights?
Something special.
Yeah. And there's a good mix of retail like that. And Main Street does a good job of getting people downtown. We got great shops. We got great places to eat and drink.
What are we missing? What would you throw up?
Oh yeah, what you about to open up next?
If you could just pick,
you guys are investing.
If you could just pick three,
I'd love to see
three industries to just park downtown and open up.
I'd like to see investment in the Doncereau House. Get that. I think Damon. I don't know the gentleman, Baldone, Houma attorney. Yeah, I think he owns it. Man, I think that those old buildings, they're not the easiest thing. I mean, mine was a cinder block building. These things have architectural flourishes and everything everywhere. So I can't imagine what it is. But that's kind of the centerpiece of downtown. I'd like to see, if he can't get a grant or something, like get that back to where, it was really, I don't know if you guys remember when we first moved here, Doncereau House had the cocktail and the drinkery. Do you remember that?
That's what I was going to say. A number of years ago, it looked like they were trying to do that, and they would run those events. You remember it was like an Iron Chef style thing with the culinary school.
Yeah, to me that's just an untapped resource. It's a privately owned thing. I don't want to lay it on him to spend $3 million. So I can reminisce about a place I used to go to on Thursdays. But it was really cool, and that was one of the things that really impressed me about Thibodaux. We kind of like, oh, this is our little place. We'd have a date night every Thursday night. We'd start there. We'd walk down to Freeman's, or we'd make it to Spars or something, and it was nice. And that's kind of where that kind of birth of the idea of the concept for downtown. But I think if we had like a little boutique hotel, that a little, but again, who wants to take that kind of risk? It's, what the risk I took was not that big. You're talking in the millions of dollars, and it's, if things happen. And, but yeah, the hippie hotel used to be called the Jeffrey. A little history for you there.
Sounds
and
fancy.
Every time I talk to Jeffrey, I'm like, this could be your hotel. This is fate poking you in the back, man.
Yeah.
But no, to me, like a nice boutique hotel, but even though Thibodaux's growing and it's only going to get bigger, I think that's one thing I'd like to see. More parking.
Might need a garage soon.
Yeah, I don't know where you'd put it, but
big city parking lot.
Just those little, bunk beds for cars or something, because, once Peppers reopens, if it does, which it will, of course it will, there's going to be a lot of people wanting to get pizza again. And, and once all the other, the beer garden happens, there's going to be, people wanting to park and be downtown. So it hasn't been an issue yet because we haven't been fully populated, So, but yeah, that's going to be something they'll need to address.
So how long did it take to go from idea to opening day? I want to know that.
So we closed, I think, May or June 2015. and we opened February 16th. So 8 months.
That's really fast.
We'd have people who are like, oh, you should open for Thanksgiving. You got to open for Christmas. But to me, you get one chance to open. We were opening a restaurant that, nobody asked for. Specifically, nobody asked for.
No one wanted Cuban.
Right. And it wasn't Cuban, so they're already going to be mad.
Yeah, we've already disappointed several hundred people. But yeah, it was 8 months. There was a few months where we finally closed, and I just kind of went wild. I'd stay up late at night, menus and doing a lot of research. I like that. I like, I collect cookbooks and big fan of all the food shows and restaurant shows and Tony Bourdain and all that. So I was just idea after idea. And that to me was just the funnest part of it. I love what I do now, and I love hosting folks and seeing folks be happy and enjoying the restaurant. But it was just the promise of this. And so, and then we had to go into design mode. All right, well, we've got a menu kind of, so you kind of have to work backwards. Okay. So we got a menu. What kind of equipment do you need? What kind of footprint does that equipment need?
And you still don't have a name, to be clear.
No, we were batting around a few. God, I wish I could provide them with you, but my wife can be pretty persistent. I'd say, okay, Cinclare this or this. She'd be like, Cinclare. Okay, how about Cinclare this or this? Cinclare. You're pretty stuck with the Cinclare thing, aren't you? So yeah. So it was, when you're doing something like that, even with the renovation we just did, we didn't know what we're dealing with. It's one of those, when you start from the ground up, you kind of, okay, this gets done here. This you get done in phases. You don't know what you're going to find with some of these old buildings. And so, yeah, but we opened at the right time, and we opened a very little fanfare. You had a lot of curiosity because we were right there. People would pass and they want to know, but we didn't promote our opening. We kind of wanted to limp in. It's not that we weren't confident, but again,
you don't want to get rushed on your
so
first
many
day.
places.
There's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, and new staff and new kitchen. So we were, some people would say we were too cautious, but I think it all ended up working out.
Yeah.
And what was the goal?
What was the goal?
What did you want to achieve with this restaurant?
Well, I wanted to, it's going to sound corny, but I wanted to give the folks at Thibodaux something else, just, myself too included, I wanted I'm specific about how I like my old fashions. And they're made several ways, and I like mine the way I like mine. And I wanted a place that had a good cocktail program, and that that could make any drink. I know at the time craft beers were super hot, but I was like, no, let's focus on cocktails. Let's do that. But I wanted to give folks Thibodaux a place that they can hang out, but I wanted a place that I thought I could hang out, a few days a week. So, and I do.
And now you have to.
Yeah, right. I'm kind of chained to it now, but it's not a bad place to be chained to. We enjoy ourselves. We have a lot of fun.
Speaking of cocktails and old fashions, man, Jeffrey is a wizard. I feel like we could spend an entire episode just talking about him, because watching him make the drink is special. And you know that it's going to be special just watching him do it.
Yeah. I am a very fortunate guy, because if it wasn't him, it was probably me going to be making drinks back there. That was kind of the plan, because I was like, but he really, he came, because I don't know if he doesn't drive, so he walks everywhere. So he walked into right when I was there, and he said, I heard about what you're doing, and what are your plans for your cocktail program? And I said, I want to do the standards the right way, you know? I mean, old fashions, 4 ingredients, you know? I mean, easy to mess up, but shouldn't be that hard. And, you know, I don't want to get cute with drinks. You know, somebody wants a mojito, let's make a traditional mojito. It doesn't have to be, you know, we can make strawberry mojitos, you know, we can make any kind of martini you want, but we're going to lead with the classics. And that's what we did, you know, and we had a few, you guys love the Robichaux. That's one of our creations, early creations. But for the most part, we were making Manhattans and sidecars and all these great classic cocktails that I think, you know, people weren't exposed to here. I'm not saying, I mean, you know, we love drinking around this town. We've got a lot of great bartenders. But Jeffrey was one of those who bought in early. I didn't, you know, call him. He sought us out and just said, that's exactly what I want to do. How do I get involved? And so we were like, okay, yeah, absolutely. You know, and that's kind of where that was born. And, you know, that was just, you know, one of those where I kind of fell in that, you know, it was, yeah, I think, you know, he loved the concept, but how many times in a town of 15, 16,000 people are you going to have not only a restaurant professional seasoned 30 years, but a barman, you know, that's been doing it that long. So I was like, wow. So yeah, I was super fortunate, and yeah, I think we could spend hours and hours. If I can just tell you, Jeffrey, so I love for him. He would never come and do this. He gets a little nervous with these, but you know, he's such an interesting guy and perfectionist, detail.
That's the thing. His passion for it comes out watching him do it, and that.
Absolutely. And, you know, he's not a young man. So, you know, we've always said, look, do you want to be day manager? Do you want to, because he's our general manager too. Absolutely not. He loves being there. And now, you know, we get a lot of pushback because people, you know, can't just belly up to the bar whenever they want. You know, pandemic kind of forced this issue, but people realized, hey, I love eating at the bar because one, we have incredible bartenders. And look, I mean, we can't leave out Cameron or Noah. They're younger, but I mean, you know, Jeffrey is anything but, I mean, he's a wonderful trainer too. And he passes his information down. And especially Cameron, she's this great student of it. I don't know if she wants to necessarily run a bar or run a restaurant, but she does an amazing job. She's our assistant manager too. She does a great job. And one thing they do is they work hard. They're detail oriented. They make great drinks, but they entertain too. They, you know, if you want to talk and chat, they'll certainly chat you up. That's part of their jobs. And so now we've got a lot of people who reserve, and we've reserved them pretty quickly, seats at the bars. People eat there. So we only have 12 seats. So they fill up kind of quick. And, you know, if you get there early, you can sit there and drink and enjoy it. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's a good problem to have. But, you know, just the kind of space we got.
I can't tell you the last time we've sat at a table there. We reserve the bar every time, and that's what we like to do, and we love that. It just feels good.
Yeah, I enjoyed, you know, I don't know if this is probably a personal problem, but I feel comfortable at a bar. You know, was always a bar guy. And I worked at Fred's on campus at LSU.
Oh my God.
For a few years. Yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah, I got the scars to prove it. But, you know, I'm a bar guy. I like,
but you've really worked every single, it sounds like, possible position in a restaurant or bar.
I think it's important. So I'm in the Louisiana Restaurant Association, and our new state chair, this guy, Mark Latter, he owns Two Jogs and the Bower and Birdie behind the Bower and stuff. And, you know, he and I become friends through the LRA, the Restaurant Association. And he started, even though his family had Two Jogs, which is this old restaurant on Decatur Street, New Orleans, he started working for Dickie Brennan. And part of Dickie Brennan's management is that you go spend a week at each station making salads, washing dishes, bussing tables, bar backing, bartending, captain waiter, back waiter, manager. And I think it's important. I think it's for me to be a good boss. I mean, my first job in a proper restaurant, I was hired, this is Jack's Grill in in Baton Rouge, owned by the DiStefano family, who used to own the Village and ran Jack Saban's and all these incredible restaurants. But she hired me as a busboy. And when I got there, I had my white shirt on and my little black bow tie and my black pants. They said, "Lose the bow tie. Do you want to work here?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely. I want to be a server here." That was the way to become a server or waiter, is to do your time bussing. And back when they had bus boys, she said, "Well, I don't need a bus boy right now. Do you still want the job?" And I said, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, our dishwasher, Buck, may he rest in peace, got his 3rd or 4th DUI and said, he's in jail for a couple weeks. I need you to wash dishes for 2 weeks." And I sat there thinking about it. And so I said, "Well, I'm not going to go back and say, no, I quit the job my first day." So I said, "Look, I'll do the first shift. If
they're not that dirty,
and if I hate it, then I'm not coming back, or I hate the place or something." It was my first restaurant job, and I hadn't developed a passion for the business just yet. But so I went and worked there, and it was immediate how much I loved the environment. The camaraderie. You're back in the trenches together. You see it back here too, but that's something unique in restaurants. And one of the things when I left the restaurant industry, one thing that I missed, is just even at Jack's Grill, I still keep in touch with 2 or 3 of those guys. See one every, we could contact each other once a week almost, but at that time, they loved that this, the kitchen, it's all African-American guys. And I was a skinny little white kid working
with a bow tie.
And so they really enjoyed, they had a lot of fun with me, but they loved that I took everything in stride and would laugh, and I'd crack them up. And so they loved me. So by the time, a week and a half later, when I got moved to Buck came back and
Buck got released.
Buck is the funniest guy in the world. Oh my God. But, the kitchen loved me. So, if I needed something, because kitchens can be a scary place. Like if you're a waiter, you go in there and you put a plate down and say, "Customer says the steak is overdone," and the guy's waving a knife or a spatula at you, But, I had a better inside track with these guys. So it really worked out. And, again, I didn't get scared off from the hard work or, the situation. But that was an important lesson to me. We'll start a lot of kitchen people in the pit. And because I think it's important people learn, they're going to take care of their station and their equipment if they know where it goes to and how it's worked on. So I think it's very important. God, that was a long way to say, I work every station. It's really good to be well-rounded, but I think I've never managed front of the house. It was so that's probably one thing I never really did, but it's been an education.
So like some of the things that have come up that we didn't expect, for years and years, everybody at the market that worked there did everything. There were very few specialized jobs, right? The jerky smoker, maybe we only had some people that could cut on the saw, but really most everyone did everything. And in the last few years, we had to sort of start specializing with the new location coming. And that's something that I've spent a lot more time on than I thought I would have to, is managing the relationship between the front and the back, because now they're separate and they don't know how hard the other person's job is, right? Your job's always the hardest. So
yeah. Oh boy. And look, there'll always be, and we've got good folks in the back and we got good folks in the front. There's always going to be some friction between front of the house and back of the house, I won't list the stereotypes that each have for each other, but
let's just say most of them are true.
Yeah, they really are. They really are. But I would love to see. Look, I laugh about this. I remember back when, this might have been our first year, and we were down a bar back. And Logan, we looked at Logan, up for anything, he's great about that. And I remember he bar back for us a couple times. And he made great money. And he's like, don't ever make me do that. This is terrible. This is terrible. Wiping glasses and filling wine glasses just is not what he wants to do. And you'll find that at the back of the house, they're passionate about it. Otherwise, it's a hard life. It's hard work.
Hours,
heat, danger.
Lots of danger.
Lots of danger. Relatively, relative to what some of the front of the house people make, it's not as
it's the
well
infantry.
incentivized.
It's the infantry.
Without you're a grunt. You're a grunt. So, but they love it. They don't grumble when they come in, and so yeah, they're amazing. I'm very blessed.
So here's a fun fact. We had a little boy in September.
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey was actually the first person to know that we were expecting.
No kidding.
Because we had scheduled our first date night at the bar, as usual.
Mm-hmm.
And we try our best to get in front of Jeffrey.
Sure.
We try.
Smart move.
But he knows that we both like a few whiskeys.
Mm-hmm.
And Brittany had asked if he could do, I don't know exactly what she asked, but I think she asked for a virgin old fashioned. And he's like, yeah, sure. And he looked at her, and we were like, yeah, it's happening.
Yeah, we're the tip of the spear when it comes to pregnancy announcements. Discretion is job one. We don't tell anybody, but I'll get notes slipped to me. Let's not make a big deal. We haven't announced it yet, but can you make whatever mocktail look like this? And of course, absolutely. Now it's so prevalent now that
make
we
it look real.
Yeah. We don't need to make a scene about it. And you'd be surprised how often this happens.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have 0 proof cocktails, so you can go ahead and say, I'll have this.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah.
I saw that it's on the menu.
Great. Yeah.
Great idea.
For people who are abstaining or, they're dry January, people on Ozempic, you'd be surprised. I mean, it's that kind of, we've kind of had to change some things about that, menu items. And I mean, that's made quite a difference, but yeah, those are the pressures for how we create menus and things.
We were talking about this the other day. We were talking about Jeffrey and getting drinks there. I've watched Jeffrey. We've all watched him taste his work.
Mm-hmm.
But I've watched. We were talking about he'll taste it and then take out one ice cube, or add one ice cube, or stir it a little more, or taste it and sucks, toss the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, but he's the only person in the room at that moment. That's what's so cool. You actually get to see this is what he would be doing if he was at home.
The man has blinders on. I know so many times, I can't tell you how many times I'm trying to get his attention, and he's not going to.
He's in his world.
Not going to give it to me.
But
I mean, it's the most prudent thing to do. Why the hell do you want to listen to whatever stupid thing I have to say rather than get your job perfect? And that's how he is. And yeah, he does try them. He doesn't get drunk though.
He's taking a little
he
bit
takes
out
a
of
little
the
straw,
and knows right away.
He's a perfectionist.
It's cool. It is very cool to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's really neat. I mean, you guys, you love what you do. You're put on this earth to do this. That's what he's put on this earth to do, and he does it so well. And he's such a humble guy, and he doesn't know why he gets some of the attention he does, and he doesn't necessarily ask for it, but he's such a wonderful guy and a great host, along with being a bartender. So yeah, we're real blessed with the folks.
It's a skill, man.
It really
is.
is.
There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
And we definitely appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
We definitely do.
Yeah. What
about the rest of the staff? How's hiring been? How's management been?
It's bumpy for a while. After the pandemic, everybody every business out here.
So you said Jeff was with you from the start, correct?
Oh, very start.
And Logan. And who else? Anyone else long term?
Chris, no, let's see. So our longest, so we have Michelle Bourgeois. She moonlights. She's an accountant now. And we're really
I recognize her.
Yeah. So she went and worked. She actually moved to Tennessee for a while. She's an accountant, but she loves loves the restaurant, loves us, and we love her. And so she's trying to save for a little bit for a house. And, she's a local and people love her. So she'll work on Fridays and Saturdays for us. So she's been there since 2018. Now she stepped away for about 3 years, 3 years. And then we've got Cameron, our assistant manager and our second bartender. She's been with us since 2019. I mean, we hired her when she was 18 and now she's got a child and
that's awesome.
And she's amazing too. She's one of those persons like, when we hired her, she didn't drink, she was not of age, but now it's like, somebody ordered I forgot what drink somebody ordered. And I said, do you want me to Google it? She's like, no. She just starts shaking away and it's amazing. Like, I think, there's bartenders who can make a drink or make some drinks, but you're most valuable when you're just, and she'll study drinks, but yeah, it's, she's awesome. But yeah, so she's probably our longest. We don't have a whole lot of turnover, but, especially like in the kitchen, they're usually there 2-3 years and they graduate and then they
right.
take off.
And that's a perfect place for the Nichols. Yeah.
We hope so. And look, we think we're a great addition to your resume or your CV, and it's important to look, and as amazing as the instructors are and as great as the curriculum is there, I think it's always important because you leave school and you go into some of these kitchens and it's throw everything that you learn kind of out the door and start cleaning snow peas or peeling potatoes, and that's
every job, buddy.
Yeah, and so we think that we provide a little bit of real world experience and make a little money, and it looks good on your resume if you work somewhere like our restaurant. So
that's a valuable part of the community. I'm glad that y'all do that.
A great resource, and not just to us, but all restaurants hopefully take advantage of it. But without a doubt, we're a small town, but we've got this world-class 4-year culinary school. You can get a bachelor's in culinary arts. Even the really good ones like CIA and Johnson and Wales and all that, those are associate's degrees.
Yeah.
And they're so wildly expensive. But with John Full's Culinary Institute, you can get the college experience. You go to culinary school, you're in a class of 100 people, and they're all in chef's whites all the time. But you know what? Somebody across your dorm at Nichols could be a culinarian, across accounting degree. And so, that's a great thing for Nichols, a great thing for Thibodaux, for the area. They're one of the only American school that gets the program at the Institut Bocuse, or the Life Institute now it's renamed, which is they go spend, and Logan was one of them. He went and spent 2 months in Lyon, France, learning under French chefs, and it's so cool. That experience is for somebody who wants to do that for the rest of their life. So Nichols provides that.
He just did that, right? A couple years ago.
He did that in 2018. So we had an original chef who was with us for about 1.5 years, and then we had Crystal and Logan. Now, Crystal had gone in 2017 to France, and actually she won Outstanding Graduate from Lyon. So Crystal. So when we let go of our original chef, we made, because they were both young, they were still in school.
Yeah.
So they were co-chefs. And so he went 2018 and she ran the kitchen by herself, and then moved to Los Angeles when he came back. He took over, and that's kind of how it's
cool. So she's got a lot of experience.
She is. She's now in New Orleans running a great pizza place. They got national. It's called Saint Pizza. I don't know if y'all have heard about it, but they're one of the 50 best pizzas in the country. And so, that's the thing. With all our former employees, I'm proud of all of them, and especially, most of them, we leave in good terms. They really make things of their life, and it's really cool to see,
Absolutely. Did any of them help with kitchen design and layout?
No, and well, Logan vastly helped with the new renovation, so we needed it. Our kitchen, I don't know I don't know if I gave y'all a tour that's the new one, but the old one was just, I kind of designed it myself, and we were running out of budget. I couldn't
just a couple microwaves and a sink.
Yeah, it was, God, it was a nightmare because you had to sink. We had this big, we have it still, man, it's a big old beast of a grease trap. And we had to sink that. And so not only did we have to kind of wipe out all, because there were a bunch of storage rooms.
What was back there?
Storage rooms and offices, an office, and, we kind of had to do a little exorcism back there, college bar, office. Who knows what kind of
because I've seen what happened in the front.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did a lot to the front too, God, they had of course they weren't going to clean up the place on their way out, so they had that blue, like, terracotta tile throughout the whole place, and it had like a half-inch of gradille. You'd walk in there and stick your steps. So
that's coral. That's live coral.
Right. Yeah. It was something growing for sure. Yeah. It was growing.
Y'all wiped out generations, dude.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. That had to, I hope that went out of country, all that industrial waste. But it's funny because we'll have people come in and, we've got that mosaic tile. And we're real proud of that. But girls will argue with me. No, I'm so glad y'all preserved those floors. I said, what are you talking about?
Yeah. I
remember this.
I thought it was the same. I really did.
I said, no. God, we had to, I couldn't imagine how deep cleaning we'd have to do. But no, it was all new flooring, new banquettes. And we did some minor alterations to the bar. But then, the renovation came last year, and it was all the stuff that we've been wanting to do for 9 years.
So for the renovation, I got to see it. It looks awesome. First of all, I know y'all did those awesome floors. I know y'all got new equipment and stuff, but did y'all change the layout of the kitchen? Or that was all it was the same?
Yeah. We changed it to a degree. We extended our pass line. I showed you that pass line that has that's where the dishes come. They assemble them there, and then they pass them to the servers. We had a 6-foot line. Now we have a 12-foot line that goes into stretches into our garde manger, our cold side. But where garde manger is now is where our dish pit used to be. So our dish pit was right next to our hot side, and we had this big convection oven, and here we're spraying down water right next to a highly electric thing. It just made me nervous constantly. So it was, we changed it a good bit, and there were things that just definite changes. And so we needed walk-in refrigeration. We needed all that. It makes our life a lot easier, makes chef's life a lot easier, and his staff. So yeah. Cause it was a nightmare to work, cause those, we don't have dumpsters. You can't have those big rollaway grease bins and stuff like that. So yeah, it was, but we had the kitchen designer at Richard. She was a former chef, also not a former chef, but she worked at in our kitchen for about a year. Taylor Bergeron.
Yeah.
She works at Richard. She's a kitchen designer.
She did our stuff as well.
Yeah. And she does great work. We love her. And so, yeah, she and Logan work really closely together, and they know each other from school and from work and all that. So yeah, I'm glad. I was very, very happy to put it in the hands of a professional. So
cool. Very cool. Let's touch a little bit on COVID. What was that like?
Ooh, God, you want to see me have a panic attack in front of you?
Were you as scared as us?
Yeah, it was, God, I remember we had, so the Saturday before we had to close, we had this big beer dinner. It was like Dixie beer at the time. Before they changed their name, they were still Dixie. They did like a little party. So they were giving away Dixie. They had 2 or 3. This is just when they had moved out to New Orleans East. Mrs. Benson got involved with Dixie, and so they were doing a pretty, so they reached out to us and said, we'd love to do it. And we're like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. So we had a good turnout. And that was a Saturday when I remember we were just talking about it. Like, because that run up to the week, it was the possibility was getting closer and closer that we may have to shut down. And I remember that night people packed. Because people were like trying to
Last
get
chance.
in. And so sure enough, the next week, and it was those few weeks were really, really tough. Very, very anxious, very thinking, God, is it, I mean, because we didn't have enough information saying that it was going to be bad. We had no idea we were going to be dealing with this for the next year and a half, 2 years, but it was still kind of scary. And never did I think that something like that was going to shut us down. And meanwhile, we'd gone through some hurricanes before. We'd have to close, or we'd have a ice storm or whatever. It's just like, God, what are we going to deal with next? And then sure enough, global pandemic. So, I think we're fortunate that for being a small town in southern Louisiana, and we were, we got open, we started doing, we did months of curbside. And
Okay,
it was just,
That was going to be my quick. How long were y'all actually shut down?
I think we were shut down for like lights out for 4 or 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks. And, and then so I think, God, I really need to go back and look back through that, only just because we ended up okay, because there was no assurances that we were going to come out of this. But I don't remember, that's gets a little foggy, but, then it was, okay, you can open up. Now,
well, wait, then y'all started doing curbside after
then we started doing curbside, and that was kind of a skeleton crew.
Yeah.
But there was still a lot of employees, one, that were concerned, I don't want to get sick, and I'm getting paid to stay at home. So I was like, oh God, can we staff up for this? And luckily we had a bunch of people who were just like, you know what, down for the cause, kind of like, and so we had a bunch of hardliners who wanted to get back to work. But I mean, it was doing the curbside. It was me, and somebody else would do it. It was Shakori. I don't know if y'all know Shakori would help, and then Phil would, some of our old employees that people might know. And then that was, God, it was 2 months, and that was kind of torture, because what we do it's not that it doesn't travel well, but you don't. The food's good, but I mean, you pay to
you're
come.
It's an experience.
Correct, but we had people who wanted us. Like, I'm still amazed at our community and our customers and our regular customers who made a point to come in, and and they give the server a couple extra $100 and say, split this between. I mean, it happened weekly. So I mean, that's another, and that would kind of fill the cup. That would buoy you, you would be like down, and then you'd have a customer that feeding a family of 6, curbside, and screaming through the window as you're masked up, saying, "Don't give up, please come back."
That's cool.
So that was really
little
good.
old Thibodaux.
I know, love it.
Who ever knew?
I did. You just got to date a girl from Thibodaux. That's all.
Y'all shut down. I hope they open up a Cuban restaurant.
And then, so yeah, you had to deal with it for that long, but I mean, you're actually still dealing with it with prices and availability on things and vendors.
That little episode cast a long shadow. I mean, we're still still dealing with it. And to be quiet, I mean, the 1-2 punch of that and Ida was, to me, was very difficult. But with that, I mean, it changed how people dined and what they expected out of their dining experience. It's, all of a sudden people were less tolerant of a loud restaurant or a crowded restaurant. You saw people's taste change. So we're still dealing with some things, good and bad, I mean, look, and for us, once we started opening the dining room, we were packed every night. Granted,
people were waiting for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and people would go out on Wednesdays and Thursdays, even when we're 50% occupancy. Well, it's really easy to fill the place, but we would fill it on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and so we were blessed. We did really well. I think people wanted to go out. And so, it was tough, but we also did well through it.
Mm. Scary times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about y'all? What was it like here?
Oh, it was a lot of panicking. It was a lot of planning and ideas.
Mhm.
And then, no, it worked out really good for us. So it turns out when people close all the restaurants, they have to cook for themselves. So
For the first time ever.
yeah. So we got a lot of new customers out of that deal. No, just the hardest and nightmarish part was getting supplies, getting meat, prices fluctuating daily. And that part was a nightmare trying to keep up with that,
Yeah, I forgot about all that.
And like you said, everyone's paid to stay home. So the guys putting meat on our trucks up in Hammond, the warehouse workers are just saying, peace out.
Yeah.
I'm not coming in. So like our salesmen that take our order, they're in the warehouse at night loading boxes because no one else is there. So that lasted for quite some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, but that separates the wheat from the chaff as far as, and because what I would tell people is, hey, the dole ain't going to last forever and you're going to want your job back. It may not be available. So if you liked your job and you like what you did and you wanted to stay on a career path, I'm not going to tell you have to come back to work, but I can't assure that your spot's going to be here when you're ready. Hell no. So yeah, so we, there was some negotiations and, some frank talk and all that, but we run a pretty tight ship, but I think we've got 6 or 7 back of the house people, and we've got about 8 or 9 front of the house. So we're not a big organization. It doesn't take a whole lot to run our restaurant, especially when we were at limited capacities and stuff like that. So it ultimately worked out well, but I mean, I just saw so many great restaurants and so many great businesses go under that just couldn't keep up and deal with it. And it's a shame stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You obviously made the first menu, which, if nothing else, got you a few good employees and some notoriety.
It's worked out. I need to go back and revisit that document. I think it's on a Word document.
I'll send it to you.
The house.
We'll do it.
I've been having it.
We need a 10-year throwback menu.
Pirated. I'd love to. It's look, it was kind of all my favorites, and that's the thing. I was responsible for the first 2 menus.
Well, that would be my question.
After
how much are you involved now?
I have approval at the end, but I mean, there's, rarely, I trust Logan and our sous chef Allie, who helps with menu composition and design and all that. I wholeheartedly trust them, and this is trust gained, trust earned. But, even back when we would work together, it was, all right, what do you think? And at one time it was a bit formulaic, had to be a steak on there. There had to be a burger on there. Had to be some sort of a fowl, whether it be a duck or a chicken or something like that. And then there had to be seafood. And then there 3 salads and 3 desserts and this, and this. And
don't forget the desserts.
Yeah, boy, did I learn my lesson. But we're less formulaic now, even though, we still have a burger on there just because we do that really well.
Yeah.
And come in tonight. It's $20.
Oh, you can eat.
All right, let's not get carried away. Test 1, 2. Is this thing on? But the first 2 were mine, even though I'm not a chef but this was kind of, it was my place and my concept, and I wanted to make sure that my fingerprints were on it initially. But now I know Logan that they, hopefully we're got a new menu either next week or the week after, and it's really good. Very excited about it. So yeah, it's always fun.
I love the rotating menu, and
I do too, because you may not know this, but it travels around. Like once it's posted, we get it sent from friends. A friend will send a picture.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's cool. That's really cool.
It's a Thibodaux thing. Hey, y'all heard Cinclare's new menu's coming out next week?
Yeah. And that's been, it's kind of organic. There wasn't, we didn't want to, it came from a place of necessity. We had, two reach-in refrigerators, and then we had some low boys. So we couldn't have this huge menu.
Mm-hmm.
So if we had this small menu, after a while, people get kind of tired of it. And one, we wanted to be fresh. One, we wanted to be seasonal, but also like we have to change things. Like we have to so I think the first menu, we changed half of it. It wasn't a wholesale change. We just tweaked things. We kept this and changed that. And then it became the idea of, okay, we're pretty much going to do a whole new menu top to bottom. Look, some people aren't fans of it. Well, there's people who are devoted to certain dishes and they get their feelings hurt. And
I know
got
some
my
people that
feelings
are
hurt.
still mad about that andouille cheesesteak.
Oh,
buddy.
yeah. Oh, man.
Alligator and andouille cheesesteak.
And look, and you guys know Van Halen, right? Sammy Hagar doesn't want to play all the David Lee Roth songs. Like you get a really creative mind, and he tiptoes around the idea, and he does it. And we're gonna do the Rangoons and all that. That doesn't make all the people happy, but to him it was his predecessor's dish. You will see it in, permutations are going to, he's going to be running that. I think we're looking at Lent. There's going to be the old classic cheesecake and stuff like that. And we love that it's that way. And believe me, we're in the customer pleasing business, but it upsets people.
Mm-hmm.
So we had this dish, the mushroom toast. And
the shrimp toast was great.
Oh, mushroom toast.
Shrimp.
Fantastic.
It did the shrimp toast too, right?
Yeah, and the shrimp toast. And that's
those are both.
And that's Logan's.
Special.
And
those were special.
That's something that will be in rotation. Shrimp toast will be in rotation.
Yeah.
But I got this email one day from this man. It laid right in. One, he just started, hey, you have this wonderful restaurant, blah, 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 blah. How dare you take away you've lost a customer. By the end of it, he was giving me all his lauds, and, by the end of it, you've lost a customer. And I'm like,
you can't make everybody happy. That's rule number 101.
I appreciate the passion, but we're just trying to make these fresh. Look, it's not an easy thing to do.
No, I gotta imagine changing the menu is a nightmare.
It's tough because
I feel like after 3 months you finally figure out how to cook it right.
Without a doubt.
And we don't change menus
from our vendors. We gotta change what we're ordering, and we gotta make sure it's available regularly. Like, okay, it's going to be available next week, but are you going to have this same quantity 4 weeks from now? We got to get assurances from them. Then we've got to train the kitchen. We've got to assemble everything. There's we give our staff all the descriptions of everything. And so everybody has to get trained up on it. We got to restock. We got to get rid of old stock. So the last night of each menu, there's usually this grand buffet in the kitchen for all our staff,
Nice.
And it's
That's awesome.
It's like the American Ninja Warrior, people climbing on each other to get to things. But yeah, it's a hard thing to do, but I think it's something we have to do. And it was organic. It was not something we were like, people are going to love it. But I love that it's kind of turned into that. It really makes things worthwhile, because it really is load everything on the computer again. We got new buttons, new plates, and we have to order sometimes new utensils and new equipment. So there's a lot of effort involved.
It's cool. It's like for us, it's a date night reminder, so where would we be if you didn't change the menu? It would never get posted. It would never get shared, and we would kind of just forget to go.
Well, another problem that I have is, so when I look at like the new menu, and everything sounds amazing. I want to try everything. So I start with one thing, whatever sounds the best to me, right? And then I eat that, and it's so good. And the next time I go, what am I going to get? The same thing every time, because it's good. I know it's good. And it's probably a screwed up way to be, but that's how I am. And so when you change the menu and take it away from me, that's what I needed. Otherwise, I wouldn't be taking full advantage of the menu.
I can hear the hurt in your voice.
Man,
I'm telling you, it's what I need.
I think
I need to try more things.
We've been fed by the bartenders the last few times. I don't think we didn't make any choices. We just said,
that's the way to do it.
Give me something. And they bring something, and we say something else.
Yeah.
Bring something else.
That's the smart way to do it. Look, we demo everything. So our servers, our bartenders, even our host, they all get to try everything. And we try to make it kind of a discussion. Okay, what do you taste? and they'll look at you should be able to sell it. And a lot of these things, it's not necessarily the first time people have heard about it, but people want, hey, what exactly is this? How is this prepared? And they have to be able.
And it's cool when when the bartender, who I don't expect to know, I guess, I don't know why, but it's cool when they know everything about it.
Like I tell these guys in front of the house, it ends up paying you to know this. There's value to this. And people, that's what tipping is about, is, hey, this is for the effort. This is for a great night. So that's why it's important. That's why it's important that, we're on our staff. We love our staff, but, the service to us has kind of been, one thing where we get ticked on every once in a while, and we stay on top of them. Service has to match the food, that has to match the drinks, and has to match the ambiance. So yeah, it's important, and that's part of it, because not everybody, look, even me, and I'll ask them, I don't study the menu descriptions like they do. I probably should, but I was a terrible student. What do you want from me? But, I'll stop them and say, tell me about this dish. And they'll tell me something I had no idea. I thought I knew.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, that sounds delicious. And they're like, do you want me to order something? No, thanks.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's good. It's worked out for us.
Service is difficult.
It is.
It's not an easy business to be in. Service or hospitality or any of these.
Customers are hard.
It's hard. It is very hard. And to do it, like our counter service, they do it day after day. They deal with a lot of rude people day after day, and
for 10 hours a day.
And they know they're going to come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's hard.
Yeah. A couple things. One, what I tell this, because all of our service, well, there's a couple culinarians who work from the house, and restaurants going to be in their future, but 90% of them, 95% of them, they're doing this to get through college or to get to their real job, right? Quote unquote, real job. But I tell them, look, when there's a recession and your real job, they lay you off, you've got restaurant experience. And there's always going to be restaurants. So it's important that, you get that experience. It's important that you have this experience. So, but yeah, it's not easy, especially, we're not an inexpensive restaurant. And so the expectation is that everything's great. And everything should be great. And to me, absolutely. I understand when we fall short, everybody should feel terrible, and we need to do something to make it right, whatever it may be. But yeah, we you deal with some testy folks, but you deal with them with a smile on your face, and we're not here to argue with anybody.
Who might handle a complaint or situation?
So we've got a few levels of managers. So we've got a lead server that looks over our servers, and she, not necessarily a floor manager, but that's kind of our first line of defense. And, then we've got management, but they're both behind the bar, our assistant managers. So really, if I'm there, I need to be handling it. And I think people, especially when it's a hot potato or an upset customer,
I would say that.
The chef.
Hey, we got a hot potato.
Yeah, I had a server who's like, ow, here, hold this for a second. So yeah, and that usually helps. But, it's, sometimes you can't make everybody happy, When I first got, I would take bad reviews so personal, or if somebody, said this was, I didn't like this, or or this wasn't even edible, which was, I'm like, okay, if you didn't like it, it doesn't mean you can't, and I don't expect you to eat it, but to say something that we serve is inedible, I think it's a little unreasonable. And but you have to listen to them. But yeah, we have layers in there, but there's still some issues that get past the goalie, and I'll hear about them either through an email or a bad review. For a while, I stick my head in the sand. It got to me so much that I just didn't read, good or bad, any reviews. And now I pour over all the reviews. And to me, the most effective, even though we love the 5-star reviews, keep reviewing us 5 stars, the most helpful are the
next
two. Well, look, the 1 stars.
You're right. It's the two or the three.
It's the two or the three. Those get my attention.
Yeah.
Those get my attention. If you're a one, you probably got a beef against me, or you just, there's something else is going on here. And I don't completely discount them, but I tell you with a massive grain of salt, because for me, a 1-star review is I got you sick, or I, punched you, or like you had this really, 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 really horrible experience, which I don't think we're above it, but I can't imagine
there
even
was
the
no
worst.
Cuban, there was no dessert.
So it's, we get our feedback. It's, look, people complain about how there's just too much. We give people too much power as far as their reviews and social media. And the sword cuts both ways.
Yeah, the problem is everybody can read it, man.
Yeah, and you can't. And I know there's a lot of places out there who have a team or have a person that just, thank you for the wonderful review. Please come back and see us. And I'd love to respond to everybody, but it's just we have 7 or 8. We counted them, 8 different ways that we can be reviewed.
Yeah.
And it's only going to increase. Revsy, Yahoo, Google, Yelp, TripAdvisor. So it's really impossible, and I have an email system that, goes and searches for reviews, but not even that doesn't even get to all of them. So, we use it as much as we can. We don't let it, don't let it raise my blood pressure anymore. You take it like it's water off a duck's back. Whatever you can use from it, use it. The rest, just let it go.
My favorite is maybe on Google or Facebook. We might get a bad one, and it is unreasonable, and our customers will beat them down. we don't even have to reply.
Send the attack dog.
If it's unreasonable, our true customer base, they know, and they will go to bat for us. They'll go to war.
Great. That's fantastic. I love it.
Here's an example of a review we got recently that was constructive, and we used it, but it was unreasonable. Okay. There's a 1-star review. They said they shop here all the time. They love all of our products, but we shipped something to them recently, the boudin blocks, and when it got to them, it was melted. Like, not hot, but they have to get kept frozen or else they'll stick together. And so that was a 1-star review, even though they said they come here all the time and they love everything.
Right.
I'm like, well, maybe take all those other things into account too when you leave the review. Also, Shane, we need to take boudin blocks off of the website.
Yeah, that's look. Very rarely active on social media. I'm kind of off of it. But look, when I'm motivated to write a review, it's usually wildly positive. If I'm going to get on my phone and type something out, it's usually because I had a great experience. Even when I have a bad experience. Look, I guess it's because I'm an owner of a restaurant that, even restaurants, even the best restaurant has a bad day.
Right.
So
I would go to the manager versus for a negative versus going online.
And that's what I would tell everybody. I hope people who are listening would do that. Before, unless we've ignored you and the server really didn't care or the manager didn't come by and check on you. On your way out, say, hey, we had an issue. This was salty. The server was inattentive or something like that. Give us a chance to make the situation right before you get online and you light us up. Back in the day when I started in restaurants, there's lots of things that people say. But if people had a great experience at the restaurant, they might tell 2 people. If they had a bad experience at your restaurant, they might tell 10 or 12, right? Now it's, if they had a bad experience, they're going to tell 10,000 people.
You're right.
You know? And so, it's, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I don't know if you guys deal with influencers or not, but I'll get a monthly influencer. Hey, I'd love to work with you.
Oh yeah.
Basically, I'd love to get a monthly free meal out of it. So, it's a 2-edged sword. For me, social.
I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
We have a strict no influencer policy, and that's kind of how you have to do it. We have a policy, and thank you, but no thank you. Appreciate you reaching out, because the last thing we need is for them to light us up. I don't know how many followers. I could care less, but but it's really work in total, social media, Yelp, all that stuff, it works in our favor. I'm glad it's there because it helps us out a lot. So, otherwise we'd be paying through the nose for advertisements and to what effectiveness, I don't know.
So this happened a long time ago, 2015 maybe. We were kind of just growing the Facebook page and trying to do the social media thing. And one night, I wake up one morning and I've got 100 notifications from Facebook, all 1-star reviews. And, at the time, I think we had like 10 5-star reviews. Okay. Well, I wake up in the morning, my phone's going crazy. All 1-star reviews, all from unique users. Bing, 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 going nuts. So I start reading them. I start clicking on profiles. Long story short, it's some kind of anti-meat activist group, virtual terrorism group, and they're targeting, and that's what they're doing. So I'd taken screenshots, and they all of their profile pictures are weird, or they're brand new accounts, or they have, you name it, the pictures on there.
They were bots, basically.
So some were, some weren't. Anyway, I took some screenshots and then I wrote this big thing. Hey guys, need some help. Look what's happened. Unfortunately, we can't remove these reviews are there. So that,
this was through Facebook. Facebook wouldn't take them out.
Well, at the time, I didn't think so. Yes, Facebook reviews. So it's like, look, guys, we could really use some help. I know we got enough people out there that if everyone goes and they do this and they click 5-star, we can drown this out, and we can, our average will still be high. But obviously, this is not right. So let's, who's with me, Dude, we posted this, and I think within 3 days we had like 2,000 5-star reviews.
That's so amazing. That's power,
right? So it made something terrible.
Yeah.
Work out way to our favor,
That's a great example. That's a great example of the good versus the bad.
And that's that's little old Thibodaux.
I know.
That's what they're capable of.
You guys have a lot of followers outside of Thibodaux. How many?
We do.
On Facebook, how many followers?
A little over 40, I think.
40,000?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
A lot of it, they're strung throughout families here somehow. It's someone's brother down the street. It's cousins. It's
well, there's a lot of people that are from Thibodaux.
Yeah,
and y'all have this very special place. People are protective of their place, and y'all's shops are part of it. I think you guys belong to Thibodaux. And so it's I don't mean to call him like property or anything like that, but I mean, that's the goal. That's the goal, is that, one, I mean, you guys do business all over the place, but you serve locals mostly.
Yeah. We like to hope that we carry that flag when we go places that, we like to let people know where we're from and what we're doing, and we'll be here. The consistency, like, we'll be here. Yeah. You can come back in 20 years, 100 years, we'll be here.
Yeah. I remember for first time I had it 30 plus years ago, the same as it is today. I mean, that's
great to hear.
Yeah. It is. So it's a comforting thing, consistency. Did you guys like to hear why I called it Cinclare?
Oh yeah, dude. We still got to get to this.
I don't know. You guys wanted me to ramble. I can ramble.
No, I like it.
So, like I told you, my family's from Cuba, both sides, mother and father, but they didn't meet really officially until they were both at LSU. But they were in exile. So my grandfather, my maternal grandfather, my mom's father, he was a mechanical engineering process sugar in Cuba. It was, I mean, that was a big crop in Cuba besides tobacco. Actually, it was bigger than tobacco at the time. And so he was exiled. I mean, he finally ended up, deciding in 1961, forget it, this thing is happening. I need to get out. So at the time, he had already sent my mom and her siblings to the United States, kind of as a wait and see. And it was so my grandfather didn't have anything but his degree and his experience. and was looking for work. But Cinclare is a sugar mill in Bruley, Louisiana, Highway 1 in Bruley, West Baton Rouge Parish. And they were looking for an engineer, and my grandfather fit the bill. So they put him up. He had housing because he had no money. He had to leave all of his money in Cuba. So he didn't have a dime on him. So he couldn't get an apartment or anything like that. So they gave him a house, this beautiful house on the property. It's the engineers' row. They have where all their engineers live and keep them close to the mill. Put my mom and her siblings in school and kind of took care of them. And so and he ended up working there till he retired in his late 70s and lived there even after he retired, and just a special place. We'd go there every Sunday. I grew up in Baton Rouge, and it was just a trip across the river. But not only that, I mean, Cinclare, like if you talk to any Cuban Americans my parents' age, it became like, because there was a lot of, they either went to South Florida or they came to Baton Rouge. And they came to Baton Rouge to go to engineer. I don't know why, but a lot of them ended up becoming engineers. So they settled in the engineering program. So there was this huge contingency. I mean, like the island had pretty much disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
All the thought leaders, all the smart, educated folks left. They weren't really desirable according to communists. So that became like Sundays. I remember even when I was a little kid, but 15 years after that, they'd be always on Sunday. My grandmother would be cooking, some Cuban dishes, and they'd have family, but then they'd have a lot of other Cuban American members of the community there. Mm-hmm. It became kind of like the, Cuban
headquarters
consulate, and they, even though they were in a country that wasn't their own, this seemed familiar, and they were surrounded by familiar faces. So it was a special place to a lot of people. I get a lot of emails from my parents' friends thanking me for doing that. Mm-hmm. And it was a special place to them, not just my family. So that's why we named it. I mean, I ended up in this, we ended up in sugarcane country,
sugar world.
So I was like, oh, I mean, that's, and so, after, some convincing Kimberly, my wife, she made some sense about it. So that's why we named it Cinclare. It's a sugar mill that's been decommissioned since 2004, but they keep it's so important to Burley. They keep the smokestack. They paint it like every 4 or 5 years. They put these big bright lights on it. Now it's going to be developed or something. Burley now is a suburb of Baton Rouge.
The picture in the restaurant, is that?
Yeah. Yeah,
I was curious about that.
Absolutely. And what's great, in the 9 years we've been open, anybody who goes down, by Port, from Plaquemine to Port Allen, they'll stop and they'll send a picture, and they'll send me a message on Facebook, or they send me a text or something. People will be like, oh my God, it really is. Yeah. And I'm thinking, it'd be weird if I just kind of like painted a smokestack. But yeah, it's a real thing. It was a smaller, back then they were these small, I don't want to call it small, but yeah, they were small and not as big as LeFou sugars or Raisin. But so that's what happened. There's a lot of these smaller ones, they just couldn't keep up. It didn't make financial sense. So, but yeah, it's a real thing, and they still keep it in a lot, and they film movies inside, and like inside the guts, they took all the the centrifuges and all the pumps and everything out, but like they still have, like, it looks like an industrial place in there. So
right.
The
nice
TV show there's shootouts and stuff in there, but yeah, it's still there, and we'll go run by there. I mean, my uncle actually, he was in Plaquemine and lost his wife, and so he ended up moving away from his home in Plaquemine, ended up renting the house that he lived in when he had come, and when they were children. So he lived there. So we have this, our family is very much interwoven with that place. So it was
that's very cool.
Yeah, it is.
You ever bring the wife and kids to the restaurant? Grab a table?
They were, my wife, it's impossible for us to have a date night there. You know, as much as she loves the restaurant, you know, for us to have a quiet, you know, one that's like, hey, can I get you to do this? Or somebody stops by to say, which is wonderful. And we encourage that.
Yeah,
but,
I get it.
She doesn't get my full attention. But yeah, she and the kids love to come in there. You know, the kids love getting the VIP treatment and, you know, and I mean, you know, to them, they know all the employees. And I mean, Jeffrey's like an uncle to my kids. And, you know, yeah, they find it a special place. My wife used to go there a lot more often and she goes there less and less, but she still loves to go when she's got friends in town or she takes out some of her staff and they always go to Cinclare. So
yeah, favorite table?
God, I don't have a favorite table. My favorite table's behind the bar. But yeah, they like to sit kind of in the obscured corner by the glass.
What's like the most requested? Do people pick
by
a
the
table?
window? By the
window table?
We have a few the ones that are right there by the street and that table in the dining room. Yeah. If not the bar stools. The bar stools now are becoming the.
And y'all do events too, right? You can rent out as a venue sort of thing.
We do. I mean, I wish I had a private room, but we don't. You know, we have to ask. It's really unfortunate, but we have to ask for minimums if we close down because I'm giving up, you know, and also it's a goodwill gesture because we get people not happy when we have to close.
Right.
Like, I had reservations for my anniversary. Like, oh, it's always tough. But, you know, since the pandemic, it's tough to say no to guaranteed money and things. And so we occasionally do events during the week. Just last night we did an awards banquet for First American, but that's on the night we're closed. And then next week we got a drug rep dinner on Tuesday. So, you know, we try to do those on Tuesdays and you know, it works out. It's tough because
then you got to call up the crew and make sure
and
it
makes their week a little longer. Some people go into overtime, you know, when we do those events, but it makes financial sense for us to do it. You know, it's, you know, until we build a second floor and no, I'm joking.
Next renovation.
Yeah, that's all I need is a room or a
basement.
Yeah, you just
is that where the Cuban place is?
I'm telling everyone. Cuban places upstairs.
Right. Because they just got to go around.
You can do a speakeasy, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
You could do a little fake door kind of thing.
I like that.
Little back alley sandwich stop.
You got the kids washing dishes yet?
My son he's a fill-in dishwasher. He's our on-call dishwasher.
Nice.
He's a junior, so like school nights are dicey, but like this past summer, I think he did about 7 or 8 shifts, and he loves it. I mean, I get on him because I'm like, get the phone out your face, and, you know. But when he's back there, I think he just doesn't. I mean, it's. You know, you've served. There's a chain of command, and you don't want to let anybody down. And he's got a few folks he looks up to back there, and
that's good.
So, yeah, he's not afraid of some hard work. You know, when put to it. You know, so
those are some invaluable experiences for kids, man. I really think.
Yeah, and he realizes this is my family's restaurant. Before it was Dad's business or whatever, but he realizes, hey, this is our family's operation,
right.
So he's getting at that age where he wants to be a little more involved. But I mean, you know, I can't put him on the line, even though he wants to learn. But I mean, we can't. It's a drag on resources and all that. But you know, my daughter wants to be involved, but you know, she's 14, 15, you know, we may look at her hosting and things like that, but you know, she's got band, and band's this huge time commitment, and there's school involved. So, but yeah, I mean, ideally I'd love for it to be a whole family affair.
Right.
My wife's a physician. I don't think she'd take a pay cut working for me.
That's good.
I just think this is so cool. I don't know if you guys listen to podcasts.
I do
a lot. Yeah.
Who do y'all listen to? I'm a big stand-up guy, so I listen to.
I'm all over, man. A lot of jiu-jitsu.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
A lot of jiu-jitsu guys. I like business and hunting, fishing, spear fishing. Anything I'm into, I find the best one for that, and that's what I do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you just do it for a certain amount of time, or
I've got certain podcasts that I've been listening to since like 2010.
That's so cool. Yeah, I listen to, you know, funny people talking with other funny people. Two bears in one cave, your mama's house.
I like, you've heard Theo Vaughn's podcast?
Oh, absolutely.
I love it. Yeah.
He is a riot. I know that y'all went and saw him, and he is so funny and so out there, and from Louisiana too,
Yep.
like funny guy. Yeah. I love Tom Segura, Bert Kreischer, Andrew Santino, Bobby Lee, all those guys. It's,
They're all in a little.
Oh yeah.
They're all
They're in a little circle.
They're all connected.
Yeah, Norman, like Mark Norman from New Orleans, and yeah, I love. Look, as much as I love music, when I'm in my truck, I'm listening to stand-up comedy. I just think it's, to me, I love music and it makes me feel better. But if I have a bad day and I hear a funny joke, I'm out of it.
I need to do you a little comedy night.
Yeah, I think the restaurant down the street does that. I don't want to.
I've actually been over there.
Yeah, and I've been over there too, and seen a hypnotist. Made me nervous. And,
I don't deal with no hypnotism.
Yeah, and we went to somebody else. We took my mother-in-law, and they had somebody who does crowd work. Oh. And, my mother-in-law is a wonderful, wonderful person, but she loves giving me the heat every once in a while. So this guy was like on me and, he knew I was squirming, and she had a blast with that. But yeah,
glad she had fun with it.
Yeah, she had a great time. I didn't, not so much. I could feel the heat coming off of my face. But no, I would love to. I don't have the space for it, and it's kind of their thing, and I appreciate that. And
how about spitball some quick favorite restaurants? New Orleans, Baton Rouge.
Okay,
some go-tos.
Sure,
we do have a lot of people that listen out of state.
Yeah, I mean, God, New Orleans,
throw a rock.
Tough. Yeah, I mean, there's some, and look, and I'm not as learned as I just don't get there as often as I used to. I mean, I love Patois. Uptown's a really good one. I mean, I love all the Link restaurants, Pesh, Cochon, even the
that's a cool
Cochon
place.
Butcher. Oh, it's
that's
awesome
such a cool place.
I mean, everything Donald Link does, I think, is great. Anything Susan Spicer does is great. I mean, Turkey and the Wolf. A great little sandwich place. That's the thing, is I'm just obsessed with sandwiches. I mean, like if you ever been to Kosher Butcher, there, it's so good. Yeah. And in Baton Rouge, Jubin's, just another great restaurant. It's been around forever. I haven't been to the Supper Club. I hear it's really good. Very expensive. Brandon Landry's restaurant from Walk-Ons. He opened up this kind of Vegas style place. I haven't been there, but Building 5, I think, is really good. The Overpass Merchant's another good place. God, there's a great place downtown we love to go. It's owned by these really great people. I think they're from Uruguay or something. It's not Uruguayan food, but they do something very similar. I see a lot of parallels between what we do and what they do, and I really like, of course, the name escapes me. But yeah, Baton Rouge, look, when I grew up in Baton Rouge was known for having the most successful chain restaurants. The Chili's that they had was the number one Chili's in the country.
Wow.
The Ruth's Chris, which is a chain restaurant, was the busiest Ruth's Chris. I mean, they were known for that. And then I'd say recently, like the last 15 years or so, they've really kind of found their own voice, and there's a lot of chef-forward, chef-driven places that are really good. I just, I wish I had a little more.
I'm starving,
insight.
man. This is terrible. This is awful.
I'm just thinking about sandwiches. So,
man.
Yeah.
Well, this is good, man. Little Thibodaux will catch up to Baton Rouge one day, and
I don't want it to. I don't want it to. And look, it's going to grow, and I'm glad it's growing.
It's already too much. I mean, look, we have a traffic circle, guys.
Well, look, it's so funny how
no one knows how
spoiled we
to
are.
use.
How spoiled we are when it takes us any more than 10 minutes to get on the far side of town.
Yeah.
We're losing our mind. I mean, Baton Rouge, the traffic in Baton Rouge. Now with all the interstate work, getting from one end to the other, it's getting to be like Houston. So, I mean, I like that Thibodaux is not like just off the exit. You have to try to get to Thibodaux, you know, you don't just end up in Thibodaux.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that it's, you know, it's got its own identity. It doesn't borrow anything from Baton Rouge or New Orleans. It's its own thing.
It's
a great town. It's got intelligent folks that work at the university. It's not just a model. It's not just sugar cane. You got John Deere. You got the hospital.
Got a lot of doctors.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, it's a great town. I mean, it's going to grow, but you know, how big can it get?
It feels like it's happening right now more than any other time in my life.
I know we're going to get some groans from our listeners, but once the bridge on Canal Street, that starts going, that's going to be, you know, I think it's going to divide, you know, which side of the bayou you live on. And
yes,
just not even never going to cross it.
It's not worth it.
It's sad. I want to be optimistic, and it's work that needs to be done, and it's just not an easy. You know, I'm certainly not envious of the mayor having to do all that because, boy, his phone must be ringing off the hook all the time with complaints. So, but yeah, I love how this town is and what it is. But yeah, it's going to grow. It's going to grow. The secret's getting out.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people with those storms are moving north, man. A lot of people from down the bayou are moving.
Yeah, I can't pay those insurance premiums. It's tough.
What if we start a Facebook page or something for the mayor where people can leave reviews?
You don't think he has that?
He does.
I think you just write whatever you want on the water tower.
I need to dig into those reviews.
There's some people that have no fear. You know, you about to get an IRS audit if you keep talking like that. You know, someone going to reassess your property. You got to be careful. But yeah, people, you know, with all the stuff that happened after the snowstorm and the low water pressures, and there's certain things that you just can't manage, and you know, it's
okay. But people can still get mad at it.
Well, look, absolutely, and this is America. You can be able to, you know, people are allowed to voice their opinions, and I just say be respectful and no more 1 star.
I've lived in Thibodaux my whole life. It's the best town ever, but man, that one day for that snowstorm, 1 star.
1 star. Yeah, come get those other 4 stars back. Show me you're worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, this was fun, man. I really enjoyed this.
Thanks so much for appreciate you coming out.
We appreciate it.
Thanks for the restaurant.
Yeah.
Of course. Thank you.
Great addition to Thibodaux, and
it's support.
It's become very Thibodaux and a big part of Thibodaux, and I hope that continues, and I hope you have success and enjoy what you do, and it's awesome. You got a great place, great environment. You knocked it out the park with the staff, and that's a hard thing to do. That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. Very, very fortunate.
Well, good. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, gentlemen. Awesome. It's always great seeing you. Cheers.
All right, that's it for this episode of the Miracles in Meat podcast. We ask that you share it with at least one person in your life that you think needs to hear it. You know, if you got a little something from it, you got some little goose pimples, or it just gave you some feel goods, you know, send it to someone else. Let them feel that too. And if you loved it, please leave us a 5-star review. That'll really help out. And if you only loved it like 4 stars worth, please do not leave a review. Same thing with the 1 through 3. Not interested in any of those, only 5 stars. If you have any personal questions or comments about the episode, shoot them over to Bourgeois Meat Market on Facebook or Instagram, and we'll reach back out. And if you have any ideas for any cool future guests, please shoot those over too. We're always interested in hearing who else is out there and what kind of cool stories we might be able to bring into this place. See you next time. Thanks for listening.